Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the post-Rapture recap. This is for episode 7 of season 2, Golden Gates. I am your host, someone who is ready to be blindsided, maybe a little bit, and also someone who is also very skeptical of Danny's deals. It is, of course, Gible. Thank you for tuning in. I am joined by someone who isn't going to have to cut off their ear and mail it to me. It is, of course, Archie Angel, Jason Porter. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Had a great Thanksgiving break. Had some time to catch up on the episodes, and I'm definitely enjoying what I got. I will say we are joined here by the 7th-ish person eliminated, depending on how you count the battle back. If you have not watched the episode, go and watch it. It's the one where they have to memorize all the paintings. So if you haven't seen it yet, click out of this video, go to the Golden Gates channel, look up Golden Gates LRG, and go check it out. I'm going to give you a second. Okay. Of course, I'm joined by the lovely Miss America, 7th person eliminated from the Golden Gates. It is Beck. How are you doing, Beck?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. How has the experience been for your first LRG, getting to now watch it back and sort of reflect on your gameplay and how people talk about you in the confessional?
It's been good. I mean, I still think I'm really surprised by the game I played. Obviously, some of the people that I thought I was more aligned with, after watching the episodes, I realized they all had their own like side alliances going on, which was new to me because I had this saying throughout the game, steady Eddie, because I got with my alliance and I wasn't gonna sway past that. And I kept telling them, I'm like, we get to the end, then we'll cannibalize each other. Like, let's just keep going. So that was an eye opener. I don't know why that wasn't on my radar early on to be more fluid, but I learned that lesson the hard way.
Yeah. Definitely one of the most common, like, first LRG I learned. People lie a lot more than you think they would.
Oh my God, they do.
Something to adapt to. So we learn in the very first episode you have this secret relationship, or I'm not sure if you ever told anyone about it, that you were the cousin of season 1 winner Lydia.
Yeah.
Did you get any coaching? Did you get any advice from her before going on the games?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, her personality is very different than mine. So the one thing that she did tell me is, try to keep your vote in the game early on as much as you can. But I think for me to play as well as she plays, I would literally have to get my brain taken out of my body because she's so much smarter than me in strategy, and she knows when to keep her mouth shut, which is not something I do well. But yeah, she did coach me a little bit beforehand, and obviously was the one that got me involved in playing the game. And
actually, I have to ask because that just made me think. So you said her piece of advice was to keep your vote, not go down to the gates. Is that why in episode 1, when you had the choice of automatic safety and losing your vote, you chose to stay in the game?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't think about at that moment too. I had no clue that could play out as arrogancy or that I had some big strategy behind it. I thought more that people would think, well, she's dumb, by giving that up. And also there was a part of me too that wanted to tie a little bit in my back pocket in that situation. So it was in my mind, it was a win-win because I felt safe and I could also throw him a favor. But I didn't see how that was going to play out the way it did for the other players.
So in this first episode, we do see you leave the safety behind, and you end up getting nominated by Ty. So can you talk a little bit about what was going on in that laser maze and what was the difficulty for you?
I literally, it's going to sound really dumb. I never thought about locking the laser down and moving the mirrors. I just didn't. I think when I got into the room, I was so keyed up already because I was so nervous about playing the challenges. I was more nervous about playing the challenges than I was about making social connections. I wasn't worried about that. I was just like, I'm going to look like an asshole. I'm probably going to screw a lot of these up. And so I think I just got in my own head. And then after I realized how dumb that was. I was like, yeah, my prediction was right. It's exactly what was going to happen. But yeah, the chapsticking was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like when I timed it out and they're all back there. Time to
Definitely
go.
a fan favorite challenge.
Yeah,
So one of the great things about being nominated in the first round is that it gives you the opportunity to connect and build bonds because you're one of the people that has to talk to everyone.
right.
You got 6 votes to stay, I believe. Was it 6 or 4? You got a number of votes to stay. Was there anyone in particular that you like made a strong connection with in that first round?
Maddie. I mean, like Maddie's he was my number one through all of it. And he was my steady Eddie. So in the first round, I felt like I was strongly connected to Ty, Maddie, a little bit of Julia, and a little bit of Danny. I feel like Danny and I never really trusted them. So it's kind of like they were there, but I wouldn't really say that I was strongly aligned with them. But Maddie and Ty were my strongest, and Ben. I mean, they were my three people. So
yeah. I think there's a point in episode 4 where you list off your alliance, and it might have been everyone in the house except for Koa, if I remember.
Which I regret because Koa and I have become really close friends since, and I'm like, man, I'm an asshole.
It's neat to try and read between the lines, but I think for the first couple episodes, Koa might not have been the most popular person. You did say German was someone who was in your core alliance as well,
Yeah.
which was interesting.
Yeah, he was.
And you ended up saving him that in the second episode.
Yeah.
Did you have any? Well, we do see later on in like that you often try to strategize. I don't want to say control, but you have a lot of influence over the vote. Were you pushing particularly for Mike or Grace to go home in the rounds they were exiting?
No, yeah, absolutely. And it sounds mean, and it's wholeheartedly going to bite me in the ass, but I think early on when I made my connections, we had the numbers, and so at that point it was kind of like a pecking order of like what rounds I was going to push people through, like push people to vote on. And yeah, and I think that's the hardest part with playing these games, especially this one being my first game, is I really got an understanding of the social connection is so instant that you don't really, I don't want to say you judge a book right away, but like you just kind of fall directly into what you're going to do. And then once you make that decision, in my mind, I felt like I had to kind of stick with it. So I didn't socially connect with Mike and Grace early on. So it was, to me, it was an easy kind of push through with the alliance I had.
Yeah. Speaking of alliances, in episode 3, it seems like you push hard for John to go home. You have this great confessional talking about how he plays for himself. Could you talk a little bit about why John might have been on your radar? And while we're at it, I'm interested to hear if you have something against people playing for themselves. What did you think about Trisha's honest game that she said a lot?
So I think the issue I had with John was very similar to the issue I had with Danny. There wasn't this instant bond or trust that I felt there. And somewhere along the way, and I wish I could tell you the exact time it happened, but Maddie and I were talking late at night after all the production was done. And of course, everybody went to bed, which was BS. Nobody ever goes to bed. Also learned that there'll be no sleeping and very little eating. So I snuck into Maddie's room, and he just very like blatantly said to me, he goes, think about who's sharing beds with each other. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because to me, I genuinely thought nobody knew each other that was playing. Like, I thought we all came in it on the same plane. I had no clue these people had relationships. I hadn't watched any of the live gaming to know that. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Sleeping with each other? Like people getting their freak on? Like what? And he goes, no, Beth, John and Ben are really close. I'm like, what do you mean close? He goes, like best friend close. And so at that point, it was for me, it's like, okay, like, first of all, I didn't tell you how old I guess I did say how old I was. I didn't tell you I was married, and I didn't tell you I had a son, but I was honest about knowing anybody there. But yet then I find out everybody knows everybody, and I'm the only person that does it. So I think that to me, that was a point when John got a little shady for me, and obviously Ben got shady for me, but I already got a bond with Ben. So it was kind of like, okay, well, how do I break this up? Because this is going to be a problem. Like, where do we go? And so that's when it's like, we're targeting John because he's got to go. Like, if he's best friends with Ben, this isn't going to work for my advantage in the long game. So
yeah,
it was just short. Of it.
It's interesting that you didn't know the amount of connections that were going on. It never got back to you that the reason that John put up Koa was because his dog's second cousin babysitter applied for John's allergy and forgot about it.
I found out about it later. It's like a soap opera, you know. I can pop my popcorn and be like, then what happened? No, I have no clue. I mean, now obviously I know the community and I've gotten to know more people. So when I play the next game, I'd be like, I know you know that I know that you know who you know. Like, I'll be ready to have that conversation. But no, I had no clue.
Yeah. I think the best LRG strategy is walk up to every person and say, tell me everyone you know and what you know about them.
Right.
And that won't throw them off at all. So one of the points I wanted to... In episode 4, we have the Weight Watchers competition. It's a head-to-head competition. And we see at the start of this episode, which sort of sets off this big arc, is you are going against Rachel in the Weight Watchers. And I believe you have a confession where you say, I'm going to throw this. It doesn't matter. And then later on, you end up trying to being the sole one campaigning against Rachel staying, I believe, right?
Yeah, I was.
So... yeah, how did that relationship change, or were you really throwing that, or are you just saying that so you didn't look bad in the challenge, or?
No, I was really throwing it. I really was. I was still keeping my vote. Rachel was just next in line. I mean, I literally had a pecking order in my head of how it was going to go and what order it was going to go in based on kind of the layout of the gist of what I got about the social aspects of the people that were there. You know, and with Rachel, it's funny because I had no clue who Rachel was either. And she even said, no, it's Rachel McCall. Like, she was livid. Like, I knew her and I was out to get her. And I'm like, girl, I just saw you in the bathroom when we were all hiding in rooms before we allowed to meet. I accidentally went into the restroom they stuck her in. And I'm like, hey. And that's literally as much as I knew about her. So it was just a number. It really was. It sounds mean to say, but it really, every vote that I pushed was for a number.
So it was, you could say that you were playing for yourself?
Well, yeah, everybody's playing for themselves in the long run. I mean, everybody wants to win. But I will say, my intent with the final 3 or the final 4 was going to be me, Maddie, Ben, and Ty. And at that point, in my mind, if we made it that far, whoever won, I would have felt like a winner because I got to get everybody there. But I don't think they believed me on that. Like, they're like, no way. Like, she's not going to be happy if I win. But it was genuine, like 100% genuine. So, yeah.
Which makes the Ty exit line of, yeah, there's no way she's a rookie even funnier.
Right.
Right. Okay, so there are some moments in LRGs that like instantly become iconic. I wanted to know what was sort of the reaction back at the house after you high kicked Julia out of the competition.
I think people were surprised that it happened. I think I even surprised myself that it happened. Do you want to say hi? Hi. Yeah, he's gonna die until he says hi. There's my son Ty. You can't stay. You can wave. Say hi. Okay, go back to daddy. Go back to daddy.
Hi, Ty.
Yeah, I think they were surprised, and I was equally as surprised. And the funny thing about the kicking of it was just I just really wanted it to be over because I was so freaking cold. I just want to be done.
I wanted to tell you that
Go.
watching.
Okay.
Jason, was there any good like production side of it? Were you all whispering like that's gonna make the edit?
Well, I just like it's kind of in the episode, but everyone lost their minds when it happened. Like you can hear it a bit before I go into the replay where everyone is like screaming. Actually, if you go back and watch that scene, everyone goes crazy, and then Ty in the background starts doing like these giant leaps into the air with where he kicks his feet up and everyone starts screaming gaggy. And then people talked about it for like an hour after. So I knew when it was time to put in the episode, we needed to give it the full like instant replay, show it from all angles, do the slow-mo version of it, because that was like part of Beck's legacy in the game. And I really wanted to make sure it was highlighted.
Yeah. I was just excited I could still get my leg up that high. I was like,
so we talked a little bit about how you were a big reason that Rachel went out this episode. What we also see is that Trish and one of your allies, Ty, were particularly upset. They were surprised by the amount that you were putting into this push. Did you have a read that Trish and Ty were against you at this point, or was this news to you when you watched the episode?
I don't think I had a read that they were against me at this point. I never really bonded with Trish, so I think I probably wasn't honestly paying as much attention to that as I should have been. And Ty handled it really well. Like, that is one thing I can say about Ty that is kind of stuck in my craw in all of this. It's like, he made a comment about my wild gameplay, like my out of control gameplay. But in every vote leading up to that, he was on board. He wasn't like pushing back. He wasn't saying, wait, maybe we should consider this. It was really just like, I understand his strategy was kind of ride it out and then throw me under the bus when he was ready. Like, that's the impression I get. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, having watched most, of the footage there and the DRs, is that most of the pushback on Beck's plans, especially I think in the Rachel vote, there wasn't a whole lot of public pushback. It was just sort of like, oh, are we doing this? And Beck came on strong about it, but I didn't see many people being like, no, we can't. In the diary room, they were like, we don't want to do this. But to you, they weren't saying like, no. I
was like the mob boss, I guess, and I was unaware that I was like strong arming everyone.
And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I feel like the very first time you get pushback is when you try to kind of flip it on Trish in episode 6, maybe. And Ty is finally like, wait, no, I can't do that. That's the first time I ever saw someone actually push back on a plan.
And if I was if it wasn't my first game, I would have targeted Ty at that point. That would have been the aha moment. But being my first game, I think I just kept thinking, I just have to keep with my group. I never shifted that thought. So that's the hard part in playing your first game, is you're always going to look back and be like, oh, yeah, I should have did that differently. But then I also think there's something exciting and cool about the first game, because I didn't come into it with any kind of anticipation on how I was going to do it. I had no attachment to how it was going to be done until it's actually in the game playing it. So
yeah.
So
the battle back happens in episode 5. Was there, I think all of the options are pretty bad for you in particular, in that you had a big role for them. Was there anyone in particular you were rooting for to come back? I could imagine that Rachel and John were probably the worst options.
Mike, probably. It would be good for Mike to come back.
I think that's the common answer. Everyone wanted Mike to come back.
The thing with Mike, and we have talked since production, and the thing with Mike is he is such an intelligent person, and he's so genuine, but you have to give him the time to to like blossom and show you that. And so in a game like this where everything moves so fast and then you see it later, you're like, well, damn, like I missed out on the opportunity to work with him. Like
I think my favorite frame of the whole show is when he's cornering HGC and is in the corner like, you need to do this plan. This is exactly why this is the plan. So I definitely see that he needs he got to explain it out.
And the same thing with Hot Girl Chris. I mean, it's funny when you look back at all the people who went before me, they all had their own levels of contribution that could have been different, right? Like you always think about, well, I could have done this with them, or I could have connected more with them if I would have taken more time. But I mean, you make the decisions you make and you just keep powering through it to see where you end up at. You know, that's really all you can do once you start.
Yeah. So we have this fast forward round. I'm sure there was probably some level of expecting this from seasons past. Question is, did you expect to be on 7 of the 10 people's lists? It seems like you knew that you were a target at this point, but did you know that you were this big of a target?
Yeah, I knew. And so the pivot was, and Jason and I talked about this, and once again, the days blur. So like, I can't tell you exactly when it happened, but there was a thing that happened between Danny, myself, and Julia. So Danny and Julia went into one of the rooms to talk. I was kind of scrambling at that point because I was already kind of getting a vibe that it was starting to click in my head that what I was being told and the alliance I had, there was other things going on. So they had went in there to talk, and Lydia was in there with them filming, and I went to go in. Now, keep in mind, like, I still thought I was good with them. Like, not a hard alliance with them, but they were all part of a lot of the moves. So I went in, and Danny physically shoved me out of the room. And I was like, okay. So at
Top
that
of pecking order now.
Right. So at that point, I realized I'm like, things are happening a lot faster than I thought. And I'm obviously not paying attention to the other people's behind the scene things. So that was kind of, I think it was like a hard lesson, much less like the physical pushing pissed me off, but I'm not in the girl, like get in your face kind of person. So it's more of like after the fact. And I was like, really? So yeah. I think I knew I was getting that for.
Yeah.
I had the aha.
You do get your first, and let me double check. Yeah, you get your first and only competition win with the counting balls, and you didn't even have to draw any trees for this one. I think it's your first time not voting, so your strategy is going pretty well. So in episode 6, we have Julia win the Omni. We don't really ever get to see your relationship with Julia. Were you worried at all? Was this something that you happy that Julia was an Omni?
Yeah. Okay. So that's when it happened. That's when I got the push, is when Julia was the Omni. I think
that was the bridge challenge.
When it happened. I don't think I was super concerned about Julia being the Omni. I still felt that I didn't necessarily feel that I was a really big target. Obviously, at that point, things start to shift. But no, there wasn't a moment then until that kind of happened that things started to shift in my mind. Yeah.
Were you surprised that Hot Girl Chris dragged you after you were the main one campaigning for them to stay a couple episodes back?
No, because I said in the episode, I knew he would be my wild card. Like, I knew he would be. Like, I knew that about him. And I'm telling you, I like him, and I like bonded so much. I love him. He is just an amazing person. And it was literally no hard feelings. But yeah, I mean, I figured that would happen. I wasn't shocked. And I didn't really necessarily think he owed me anything, because the saving of him was a strategy. It wasn't necessarily to save him. That makes sense. So I didn't walk away from it thinking, oh, how dare you? Like, that wasn't, yeah.
Did you ever have? Sorry. Did you get your hot girl privileges revoked after that episode? I heard some people.
I don't think I have. I don't know. I don't think he's ever told me I've been kicked out of the club, but you know, as far as I know, I'm still in it as of now.
Here.
Still the next.
Okay, so in the episode 7, we heard, it's interesting. Earlier on, we heard you talk about how much you love to draw trees, and that would be the perfect competition for you. And then it seems like you don't do that well in the painting competition. Can you talk us through what was the difficulty there? It seems like another laser maze area.
I can't spell. Worth the crap. And in that situation, like, I am such a visual learner. Like, you put words on a piece of paper with a picture, and I have to remember a title that's like the length of my forearm. Just forget it. Like, just put me back in the laser maze. I might be able to like better. Like, stick me back in the room. Yeah.
Jason, were there? Tell us a little bit about how that the images were designed. I think Julia said it was AI. It didn't look like AI, but it could be wrong.
No, those are actually photoshopped heads put on bodies, and different things. Kyle made the pictures. That was sort of an interesting collaboration between Kyle and I, because I remember coming up with like the basic concept of it, and I was like, ooh, let's do a campy walk around a gallery where they have to look for paintings based on like some sort of riddle, and they have to bring it back. And then Kyle then created it himself. And so I think in my version of it, it was a little bit less challenging, but I actually like the way that it came up, because it was one part riddle solving, but then 2 parts, or the second part, like memory, is like once you've solved which one you have to find, you have to then memorize like a sentence, and you weren't allowed to have your whiteboard with you. So it ended up being a bit more challenging than I had originally envisioned, but I do kind of think that made for good content, TV wise, because hearing everybody complain about how hard something is while you then have someone who gets every single one right, it's a nice balance,
Yeah.
As an audience member, I think that's just, that's good TV. So some people can excel at that, and we really got to see that. I will say though that we've already talked, Beck, and the Beck Presents Tree Drawing Challenge is potentially in the works for a future season.
Oh God! I better start practicing my trees. Get on it.
Well, you heard it here first. If you're planning on going to season 3,
start practicing those
27
trees.
minutes into the seventh episode of the Beyond the Gates post Rapture recap is where you need to start studying. Okay, so Ben wins the challenge, and he's going after Danny, which probably very good for you. What I was surprised by this episode, were you aware of just how against you the jury was at this point? Because you get this punishment, and it seems like you get the worst end of the punishment in that they Danny gets the worst end, but you're selected as one of the people who they wanted to punish. Did you read into this? Did you expect that you would be getting a punishment from the Dark Council?
I mean, because yes. I mean, you don't do bad deeds and expect something bad not to happen to you. So yeah, I wasn't surprised in the punishment. I think I was actually more surprised that they came after Danny harder than me, to be honest with you. Yeah.
What was my question? Sorry, I can't remember. Was there actually music playing in the headphones, or were they just giant earmuffs?
They were just giant earmuffs. They didn't entertain me at all.
They were headphones, but she also had to wear like those styrofoam earplugs underneath.
It's all crammed in there.
Yeah, because at first we were like, the earplugs by themselves you wouldn't be able to see, and the headphones are better visually, but you can kind of see through headphones. You can kind of hear through headphones like this.
Which would have been better.
Yeah, but Beck, I don't even know if I ever asked you, but with the earplugs and the headphones over top, like, what was your like audibility? Was it like a 0? Could you hear
I
like
could.
basic
So
muffles?
yeah, so my husband asked me that question because he's watching it with me, and he's like, "Why don't you talk at all?" I'm like, "Because I couldn't control the volume of my voice. It was literally like I was underwater. So I was afraid if I was trying to, strategize or something, and I think I'm talking like this, I'm really like, So I just didn't say anything. I'm like, I'm just gonna write because I don't want to risk it. But that was the question he had. He's like, you could still talk, right? I'm like, not at the volume I was comfortable with.
It seems like a sort of last minute decision, but did you expect Danny to drag you at the end?
No. Not then. That was a shock. I mean, kind of yes and kind of no. I guess looking back at it, if at that moment, I think it would be like, who else would they have dragged but me, in that moment? Because obviously, with how hard I played and how much I strategized and how much I pushed votes, there was a hierarchy already laid out in front of them. And I was just going to be in the way of that. Right. So a little bit of yes and a little bit of no. Watching the episodes back, though, I was surprised that they did have my back a lot of the times, like they said they did. So, that's the other side of the double-edged sword is come across as a villain. You don't expect that, right? But in the same respect, they did in a lot of the episodes, a lot of the gameplay. So,
well, yeah, in the episode prior, Danny goes to bat, making sure you have the votes to stay.
yeah.
My read on it has always been that they were working with you until they have to drag and is in a formal alliance with literally every single other person.
Right.
And that's why one of their alliances is pushing for Trish, but they have another secret alliance with Trish. So yeah, they were in a pretty tough spot.
And at that point, Ty was aligned with Trish too, which I was, so yeah. I mean, if they ran the numbers, obviously I would be the easiest one to go with. And then, well, ask your next question because we know where it's going.
Yeah. Did you expect? I mean, you had the disadvantage this round, so you're in a little bit of a tough spot. Was there anyone's vote that you were like particularly hurt that they didn't save you this round?
No, so in watching it, this is genuinely, I screwed myself. I mean, I just did. And in rewatching it back, being present to how it laid out and the conversations that I didn't see, the reason I flipped on German, the reason I did that, and it's okay. I'm not like, I'm still on page as far as what we're talking about, right? We're still good. Okay.
Yeah, just nothing past your elimination.
Right. I'm like, we're just right on the edge of the line. The reason I flipped on German was he kept, during that challenge, he kept just saying, "You're okay. You're okay. Trust me, you're okay." And in the back of my mind, I've got all these things racing around in my head going, yeah, but these people have this alliance and I don't know about that alliance. And Danny pushed me out of the room. And, I've been dragged. Like in my mind, when you're dragged and then you've got one of your alliance members just constantly saying you're okay and not really painting a different picture, I was like, I thought I got to flip the vote. Like, I don't, and it was so dumb in doing it. I just got paranoid. That's the easiest thing I can say. That was the first time paranoia set in.
I think another really important factor too in this episode is that the one person who was a ride or die for you and you could have trusted 100%, Maddie, was in the gates. So had Maddie not been down in the gates, he probably would have gone to bat for you. Potentially,
and he probably would have made me shut my mouth.
Yeah, potentially.
Like, shush, I mean,
and Danny may have dragged Maddie instead of you, or regardless, if Danny had dragged you, you would have gotten Maddie's vote, and Maddie could have tried to maybe get another 1 or 2 on you. So Maddie being in the gates was also a really unfortunate for you that round.
It was. And watching that episode too, and seeing that they were all on the path for Trish at one point, and all I needed to do was keep my mouth shut and trust, you know, and that's one of the biggest things I learned from this game and in my life. Like, you know, I guess I'm realizing now a lot of people play these games to learn life lessons and to learn one of the things that hold them back in social environments. And the biggest one I learned is I am a freaking control freak. Like, you take the ability for me to feel safe and be in control, and that's probably obviously a lot of people's weaknesses, then the paranoia sets in. And you really have to figure out, well, who am I going to trust out of this situation? And I learned that lesson. In the next game I play, if I have that gut that I just need to shut up and trust, I'm just going to play that card, because I can see now how I did it to myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do want to ask you about episode 8. So if you have not watched episode 8 yet, this is your cue. Thank you for watching so much. If you want to mute it for like 3 minutes, that's also okay. We're going to talk some about episode 8. So if you haven't watched it, click off. I'll give you another 2 more seconds. Okay. So you are a part of the Dark Council for the first and only time. Could you talk us through? I know it's hard because there's 7 other people or 6 other people that you are making this decision with. How did you sort of arrive on giving John and Ben the advantages and putting Julia at risk this round?
Oddly enough, I was still trying to get my guys to the end. I was down there and I was still fighting tooth and nail to see the guys that I said was going to sit at the final, be at the final. So, you know, I was still kind of working it in that way. And that was the decision as far as talking with the group. And I think everybody down there already had their own like pit in their stomach or thorn in their craw, or however you want to say it. And so I think it was kind of an easy thing, right? Because everybody wants somebody to get a little payback. So in me was kind of voicing my opinion. That's pretty much how that went down. Now, maybe I was playing Mafia Mom again. I don't know. Like you said, if the Dark Council tells me I bullied them, we're going to have an issue.
Well, that I was just thinking about this at the town hall meeting, and if you haven't, you can click back on if you muted the stream. But at the town hall meeting, I think as I watched through it, you have probably the same reaction I would in the least PC way possible. That you just cross your arms and stare at them as they're going. What was that situation like, particularly for you to sit through 12 minutes of Mike telling everyone that they're bullies?
Yeah.
Did you see the town hall segment, Beck?
I didn't. I don't think I saw it yet.
So that's when right after the buyback was over, the 4 people that did not win the buyback, Rachel, Grace,
Mike.
Oh no, I did. Because I was down. I mean, I remember.
Yeah,
that was being there when he went off, and he was like physically upset about it.
And then, so that's actually post-credit scene in episode 5. If you do want to watch it, it's in there. But yeah, that's where everyone kind of goes off, and Rachel kind of cries a little bit, and you have a moment where you kind of talk about how none of this is personal, etc.
Yeah, so it is interesting. I mean, that was one of the things that I don't know if I shared it with anybody, but first of all, I think there should be therapists on these games. Like, you guys need to pull some money or something. Like, there needs to be a therapist to counsel people at the end so they can come down. But it's difficult for me to see, because a lot of the players are very young, right? I was the oldest player there. And it's difficult for me to see players who are still finding their way in life and finding who they are and blossoming and changing, to have these instances where they feel so crushed inside of a game that's intended to crush you, right? And to break you down as a human being. Like, the reason you play these games is so you can do shit that you wouldn't do in real life. and get away with it. Like, that's part of it, and strategize and see how much you can lie and sneak and do all that, right? But one of the things, and I'll make this part short, but one of the things that really touched me in playing the game is not just seeing Mike break down and just telling him, like, you can't walk away from this feeling this way because you're an amazing person, you're a good human being, is Rachel breaking down and having the moment she had, and then opening up to me about her past and all the things that she's been through in the community and things that have happened. And I even told her, I'm like, it's good to play these games if you can walk away from it and learn something about yourself that's a healthy change, right? But if you walk away from it feeling beaten down and torn up, you have to really think about, like, having enough strength to remind yourself of who you are in life and how good of a person you are. And that it's hard to see that. I think it's very hard. It's hard for everybody to see that in the games. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things Hot Girl Chris yells out to Rachel during that moment is like, your placement in an LRG does not define you.
It doesn't.
And it sounds obvious, but yeah, I mean, I'm just really glad that they all got to, continue doing fun things in the game, like
they did. And I think even Rachel, we had an amazing time after everybody had their breakdowns and upsets, and we all reminded each other about how much we were loved and how amazing we are. And, that it's about being together and still having playful fun and all that. We all still had an amazing time. We did. And I think that's the biggest thing in taking away from these live games is reassure yourself that you're a strong person and don't take it personal if somebody, comes after you or says something during the game, because it's part of the game. You're sleep deprived and you're starving. And if you're on the Golden Gates, you're freezing your ass off. Outside's cold, inside's cold, the basement's cold.
When did this film again? I'm trying to remember.
Filmed the weekend of March 21st, so it was pretty cold. Also, we did have food there, just FYI.
I just didn't know where it was because of the gumdrop.
We didn't starve them intentionally, but no, there's just not a lot of time to eat. That's why you'll randomly see a scene of somebody eating during like a drag down on the couch because, there weren't like breaks every round to eat. It was just like, there's food. Go grab it if you got time.
You don't want to eat because somebody's got to have a conversation and cut your throat while you're eating your sandwich. You gotta stay in
All of the food was replaced by German and Maddie's alcohol that they were drinking in episode 7.
I didn't realize how wasted German was at that point.
Maddie shot a clock.
I think I did once. I got wasted. It would be way worse than it was.
That is all I have in terms of questions. If you have any other fun behind the scenes, what was like your favorite moment? I mean, we talked about you high kicking. Were there any other really fun moments that stick out to you when you think about the Golden Gates?
Oh gosh.
There's so many to choose from. I don't want to put you on the spot.
So many. I still laugh about the puzzle game with the black light.
Oh yeah.
Because
the grids in the dark.
I think I just enjoy laughing at myself because I genuinely don't think I figured out what I was doing. So I think a lot. The best thing for me was the humor behind it and just like finding joy and just doing something that makes you horrifically uncomfortable and feel stupid. Like, I don't know. It was just fun. Everything about it was fun, and the people were great, and obviously, production was great, and the game is extremely intelligent, very intelligently designed. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing my next one. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come on a podcast and talk about your experience. Do you have any upcoming projects or social media that you want to shout out?
Oh, God. Well, I'm going to do John's Traders in January.
Is that
so I'm a little, sorry. Edit it. Anyway, I have another game that I'm going to play. As far as shout out, I think my son, who has now shared one of my allies' names, would like a shout out. Mommy loves you, Ty. All right.
Shout out to Ty.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Jason, talk a little bit about the finale. I had some people messaging me saying, like, where's it at today?
Yeah. So the finale will air Friday, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time. For anybody in the greater Columbus, Ohio area, there is a live viewing party at Rumors Bar where we did the premiere. It'll be super, super fun. The finale is very long, so I'm just saying, buckle up. It'll.
Bring a comfy chair.
I'm still making the final touches on it, but it is probably going to be like an hour 45 because there's a lot of game to get through, and it's going to be a sprint to the end. But it is very exciting and should be very, very fun to witness.
You can't wait. I'm trying to make it. I hope I can make it there.
Yes, I would love. That'd be so amazing if you could be there, Beck. I would love to see you again.
Guilt my mom. Maybe that's a shout I should do. You could find her on Facebook and be like, watch her son so she can go to the finale.
Do we have like an estimated run length of the finale?
So I'm
4 hours.
No. So I'm shooting for an hour 45, but my promise to myself is to not make it longer than 2 hours. I refuse to have it over 2 hours. So where I'm at currently, I'm gonna guess hour 50 probably, because we got to get through top 6 round, top 5 round, top 4 round, and then the jury round table with the 3, and those go by pretty quick, but I'm trying to also do them justice and not race through it. So
I think I've heard like the format might change at Final Four. Might not be the same as last, but we'll see. Can't remember. Other than that, I'm Gible. Yeah, I'm Gible. I can talk about my Traders game if you're interested, and you're in the Indiana area or you want to drive up here.
Yeah,
hosting a Traders game on Sunday. Wait, Beck, are you from Indiana?
Oh, I'm in
Beck,
Southern
are you from
Ohio.
Indiana? No.
Southern Ohio, Cincinnati. Close enough.
Okay. Yeah, the way you said it, I was like, but I'm hosting a Traders game in Bloomington. If you want to figure out more about that, follow LRG Indiana or follow me at Duck7Man. That's where I post all my stuff. Other than that, stay tuned for another exit interview sometime in the future. Still working on episode 8, but thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening to our interview, and that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Beck.
Bye, guys.
Bye.